With us in our studio, the chairman, NDMA, Major General Asghar Nawaz Sahab. So thank you very much for taking out the time. General Sahab, since I have a list of questions, but let's start off from the very basics, sir. What sort of details do you have about the earthquake so far, sir? What is the update on the relief and rescue activities? Let's start off from there.
Well, it happened at 14:09 on 26th of October, and as the clock trickles by, I think it's 20 of 10 at this moment. As we sit here, we have a complete visibility of the damage assessment. We have reached towards the last mile of the places which are affected. The relief phase is ongoing, and we are now entering into a phase of rehabilitation of all those who are affected. The figures which are available with me, just a short while in a press conference we also flashed that we have a death toll figure of 267. We have injured figure of 1836 and 11,388 houses damaged. This is a preliminary initial assessment which has been reported at the level of from the districts to the provincial disaster management authorities, and that's the source that it has compiled and come back to us. If I would compute it in terms of percentage, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa is worst hit. It has around 82% of deaths.
A report from KPK.
Yes. It has around 90% of injured, and it has around 93% of houses damaged. Yesterday at around 11 o'clock that we were giving the briefing to the Prime Minister of Pakistan, we were very aptly able to carry out a quick assessment of using a technology and from the field information that we have and the quick scan which had been carried out of the area. Luckily, we had a presence of army in the entire region, especially the worst hit region of Malakand division itself. And because of the presence of army, it was possible to get a very quick, the availability of information alongside the civil administration.
All right. And
after that assessment, we were able to establish that our focus should be on the Bajoda agency from FATA. Our focus should be on the Malakand division with all its 7 districts, including the Malakand agency itself. So with all these figures coming in, we were able to form up a picture. The Prime Minister yesterday visited Shangla. It's a affected district, and today it was decided that we should have a consultative meeting with the provincial government, which was already proactively carrying out the relief activities in concert with Pakistan Army. And today at a high level meeting which was chaired by Prime Minister himself at Peshawar, and the presence of the Corps Commander of 11 Corps, which is Peshawar, and all the civil administration officials, federal government officials, we were able to arrive on to a final figure of the damage which has occurred and what should be the way forward. And the important decisions were taken that we must move on to promptly into the phase of reconstruction and rehabilitation.
And how long will that take, sir, tentatively?
Well, I would like to highlight over here that all these damages which have been reported, we have been able to, as per the reports which have come in, we have been able to reach the last mile.
Okay.
Again, I will like to give a credit here because the army, the frontier corps troops, police, civil administration, they did a very good job. It was a bad weather. It's a mountainous terrain, difficult terrain. There were the link roads were closed because of slides, but they managed to reach those places, and a very good assessment is in front of us. now what is going to be done is that there has to be a verification process, because it's a preliminary report which has come from multiple sources. So teams have been constituted which are going to go, that will include representative of civil administration, local government representative, because the local governments are already in place over there.
In
KPK, and then and representative of army. These teams are going to go and carry out a physical verification of all these damages and losses, loss of life, the injuries and the house damages. And what they are going to categorize is that in terms of injuries, they are going to categorize that what are the major injuries, or if there are disabilities. So each have a different compensation level. And the major injuries should be like that of fractures or a serious injury, not causing a disability or loss of limb. And a serious injury is definitely that you have lost a limb or become disabled. For the houses, they have been categorized as those which are partially damaged and those which are totally damaged. I must highlight here that the damages to the houses, it has occurred to mostly those houses which were, like we call it in a slang, that is the paka or the kacha houses or semi-paka houses, which were there, constructed mostly of mud and stones and without cement mortars. So those were the houses which collapsed. And while these teams will establish and come out with the final statistics, the compensation which has been, of course there is no compensation for the life.
Correct.
But still for those who have been left, because certain household, the bread earners of the families may have been lost. So for giving an immediate compensation relief to those families, and of course the other ones also, it will be 600,000, that is 6 lakhs Pakistani rupees. For those injuries which have caused disabilities or
loss of
limbs, it will be 200,000 per person. And for the major injuries, which like fractures and all these things, it will be 100,000.
Okay.
In which the treatment or a prolonged treatment in a hospital.
And the government is going to look after all those who have been injured.
Yes.
So government is going to bear the cost.
Yes. So it is the 100,000 is going to pay to them.
Correct.
And then for the houses, for fully damaged houses, it is 200,000. That is 2 lakh Pakistani rupees, and 100,000 for partially damaged houses.
Okay.
That is 1 lakh Pakistani rupees. Whatever expenditure that is going to incur on all this is going to be shared equally by government of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and federal government.
Okay.
That is 50% each. And the verification mechanism, the timeline which has been given by the Prime Minister was 72 hours, but of course with all the inaccessibility of the far-flung area.
And the weather issue is there as well.
Weather issues. It has started from today onward, and is most likely to be completed by
within
Sunday.
this week.
Yes, by Sunday maximum. But 72 hours was the deadline which was given to them. And Monday onward, from Monday to Thursday, the payment process will start. And for that, it was decided that it will be like on a local community basis, an open and a transparent system of payment, where on a community basis the people will gather, the notables would be there, the local government representative would be there, and the people would be given the compensation. So in that sort of an environment, even if someone coming with a claim or something which has been overlooked or through an oversight by even the verification team.
So this is the assignment of the NDMA to make sure that transparency is there.
I'll explain that further. Then there will be local bank counters over there, and they will be able to draw the cash.
Okay.
This is all going to be done by the provincial government, because you must know that after 18th Amendment, the disaster management is a provincial subject, and they have the provincial disaster management authorities which function directly under the provincial government, the PDMAs, and then the government machinery which is there at their disposal. It's all going to be done by the provincial government. The process is going to be overseen by, of course, NDMA and the government itself, and the Prime Minister also announced that he would also be visiting along with the Chief Minister at various places while this compensation is being paid.
All right.
The underlying fact is that we are homing on to this thing that there should be a very quick reconstruction activity in this area, because the winters are setting in, and the strength of the people of this area is that this is a region from where we get maximum people who are in the labor class, who are very proficient in construction, like the masons and all that, and they are very good in constructing their own houses. They built their houses.
So most probably before the real winter arrives,
Yes.
things will be taken care
So
of. Now,
while-
Sir Jalal Sahab,
yes.
that leads to a couple of other questions. For example, now everybody was talking about the local body elections, and interestingly, they've been held in Balochistan as well as KPK, and within a few days they'll be held in Punjab as well as in Sindh. Now, sir, how help? Because obviously you have got three tiers, that is the NDMA, the PDMA, and then the DDMA at the district level. How helpful was DDMA in this particular regard, sir? You think there was a dire need to have people at the very basic level who can actually assess the need and the requirements?
In any disaster occurring in any part of this globe, the first responder is always the individual, and alongside that there is always a local response. And the local response comes from the local administration, may it be at the sub-district level or at the district level.
All right.
But it will always come from there. And they are the one who are supposed to be knowing and reporting and managing the disaster. The capacity issues does exist, but notwithstanding that, you must understand that there is an inbuilt system of response which always exists. And Pakistan, being a disaster-prone country, not only to the natural calamities but also to the man-made disaster, I must admit that we have an inbuilt resilience, and we have a mechanism in place. And this is an area where we experienced certain disasters in the past, floods, for example. There is a history of earthquakes in this. So a response mechanism in some form definitely exists. And with the institution of the disaster management system, there's certain standing operating procedures are there, the coordination mechanism exists. Like once this earthquake occurred, within minutes,
You exactly knew what to do.
within minutes, this SMS alert, we have a mechanism that it reached all the disaster managers, myself, my relevant staff, and all the PDMAs. And the first response was that with all the districts, affected districts, because like we knew that it was the epicenter is closer to Hindu Kush. So all the focus diverted
towards
towards
that
Gilgit,
area.
Baltistan, AJK and
Chitral
and KP. So while the jolts were felt all over the country, but we started off and focusing on to this. And I must appreciate, as you can see, within 48 hours, we were able to cover a lot of miles.
Jalal Sahab, where were you exactly when this earthquake
I was abroad.
occurred? You were abroad.
I was chairing international.
Because that's why
Yes.
I asked you this question, because we knew that you were not here,
Yeah.
and then you immediately took a flight and you came to
Yeah,
Pakistan.
actually,
on
I
an
was
emergency basis.
yes, I was there heading. Incidentally, I was chairing a session of UN Escape in Bangkok, and I was chairing a session which pertained